population segment of our
I was ready.
of the youth, like, you know, the kids get bullied, kids and it would be like this awesome kind of safe space.
Yeah, well, so
right?
it was about 6
They would
months.
be with
And then
kindred
because I was going
spirits, like,
every weekend.
and the truth of the fact is, in 20 years, they're the kids that are gonna be running the planet.
Just emailed me
You
one
know,
day.
Berkeley would crank out a few of those.
Right, looks great.
To your point,
Matter
the esports team, even though
2
they
days later
ended up
and
being placed
really hit
number
it off with her
16
and she
and they
played
were
with me in
in
the
the top
yard and
10.
the foster.
They were
was like,
they
"Oh,
were
yeah, you guys
recognized
are
by the
great."
school. They were
And so,
recognized by the little,
Yeah, so within like
you know,
48 hours
verbally,
of
over the account system, they were recognized by the little.
Are they the notes for
She's just
doing
a
certain
power she
They
is.
were put in paper. But as far as just
but we think
something like, hey, this is really hard to strategize
Just had
and
her
get this
1 year
done,
anniversary.
not
So
really
now,
there yet.
Yeah,
But
it's not
She's about 2 years
football.
old.
but
She's
we
just so
wanted
great,
her
she's so much
to be
fun.
really good at 2 years in a row.
And it's the kind of,
Hey Tim,
How are you?
good, how are you?
Been a while.
I think it's the kind of thing where the probably the reasoning comes and goes, you know, it's like as far as the cows are.
things like that, maybe at the end of this.
Yeah, that is hard.
You know, but
You might get some
parents that
ideas
are
for
involved
Right.
I know some
helping to
people.
drive the kids there.
Yeah.
Your dog.
And then, whereas if it's built up, like if it's just, if you're doing a pickup football game, it's different than having an organized team with a coach and a field to play on that has lights at night and is organized and has a program and cheerleaders.
It's called.
How was your day, Mr. Henry?
Just whatever.
You were a student.
Yeah. I don't know. In general, everything's good, but there's always something. Anyway, but yeah, good.
Is this the change now?
Avalanche.
This is the one we're gonna go over tonight.
Avalanche.
Is this
moving on.
changed from the last one?
Yeah, so this is more what will actually go out this time,
The team.
and so we're just gonna go through it and
They just
suggestions.
scored,
Is that hockey or
they just
football?
scored 28 goals in 5 games against the best defensive team in the league.
Oh my god, that's amazing. Tell me more.
It was just freaking awesome.
Callie won't be here tonight.
Who?
Callie?
Callie?
Sean, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Good evening, everybody.
Right, volume was really low there.
Yes, can you all hear me?
I can hear you.
Try that again, Sean.
All right, testing. Nothing?
That's better.
I can hear you, Sean.
How about now, Sean?
Hey, everybody.
It might be as good as we can get. I don't know why.
Okay, I'll try to talk extremely loud and just let me know if I'm not clear.
Ethan, how about you?
Hey, this is Ethan. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Good.
So technically we have a quorum.
All right.
Sean is online.
Alright, we will call the meeting to order. Do roll call. Carolyn is not here.
Did not get any email or anything.
Anna, here. Tim,
Here.
Callie. Sean,
Here.
Audrey, here, Rod, Carl,
Here.
Ayers, and Keith.
Here.
Alright, so go to approval of minutes from the Wednesday, April 3rd meeting. Everybody get a chance to review them? Oh, Carolyn's here. Carolyn?
White crowd.
Carolyn is here. Everyone get a chance to review the minutes from the last meeting? Anybody have anything? Get a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve.
I can second. Alright, we can move on to public comment, non-discussion items. Do we have anybody in the room? We got a couple people.
Gentlemen first.
It is pretty ironic that Brian and I just randomly showed up on the same night, so
Randomly.
very randomly. Pretty sure I know what he's gonna talk about, but it's not what I'm gonna talk about. Anyway, I'm Jeff Eidman, past trustee, past liaison to this board. How much time can I have?
3 minutes.
Okay, well, I'm gonna have to be really brief then, because, anyway, and I'll be happy to send you guys my phone number, so that anytime anybody wants any history or input, I'd be happy to. So my first stint on the Parks and Open Space Board in Berthoud was in 1995. In 1998, I was involved in passing that sales tax, which can only be used for open space, trails, roads. 2014, town recreated port committees because there was no official board. 2016, when Brian and I got elected, we recreated this port committee. 2018, we gave the town, like, so 2016, 2018, we couldn't do anything. We were focused on low-hanging fruit because we had no money. 2018, we put a sales tax on the ballot and the citizens supported it. So Berthoud has a 1% sales tax plus the 98 1% sales tax. So half of our sales tax revenue is earmarked for open space and parks related things, which is unheard of. There's no other community in the state of Colorado that has that sort of dedicated funding for parks and recreation. And I think the citizens supported that because of the fact that we were so far behind. In 2018, we had basically nothing. 2020, with 2-vote margin, 1 more vote than we needed, we got the rec center passed. And there's a lot of critics saying we couldn't afford it, and I think we've proven them wrong. And I think that has absolutely changed the town of Berthoud. So anyway, so I'm here to say that it's important that you guys help follow through on all of the long-range planning and all of these pieces that we put in place to set the town up to be able to achieve. So Richardson just really needs to move ahead. We have no ball fields. We have 2 ball fields, right? 2 of them, we have 4, but 2 of them are slated to go away when the town park project gets to its later phases. So we desperately need baseball fields. You can see how heavily used the soccer fields are at the rec center. We need the same thing for baseball. We need an outdoor pool, but an outdoor pool is a really expensive luxury item that only gets used 3 months a year. And then we need trails, trail connections. So in the last survey, trails were the #1 priority. We still don't have the trail connection north of 287. And once we get to Heron Lakes, there's only about 1.5 miles, 2 miles to get to the Loveland Trail, which connects us to like 70 miles of trails. So I don't think the priorities have changed. I think you guys are here because you have the information, you know what the needs are of the town. I think the average person out there is not gonna know that or know about the funding. So I think you guys just need to prioritize and make decisions. So I would say we don't need another survey. I know you're gonna go ahead with the survey, but we really need to get the Richardson. The longer we wait, the more expensive it'll be. We built the rec center and Wagner Park for $30 million. We borrowed $23 million. The day it opened, the contractor said it would cost 45 had we started that day, because we beat the pandemic price increases. So the longer we wait, the more expensive it's gonna get. Anyway, and as far as the lap pool, there's current infrastructure roughed in. The rectangle south of the rec center was reserved for a future indoor lap lane pool, hoping that the school district, we offered the school district a $5 million deal to the Century to partner with us on a lap pool, which would have been in that location. They said no, they spent it on desks and equipment and the Ray Patterson turf instead of using their bond windfall to build a pool for Berthoud. It's an ongoing history with the school district where they just never built, we're the only town, high school without a pool. But anyway, all the infrastructure is there. If you build a indoor lap pool with a lot of open doors, folding walls, it can be used in the summer like a summer outdoor pool, but it can be used 365 days a year. So hopefully the school district, if the town decided to move ahead, they would support that. So anyway, just stick to the plan, and the outdoor pool could be also financed at Richardson. The COPs are a great way to leverage our revenue stream, and then you can use the facility while you pay for it, just like living in your house while you pay your mortgage. So thanks.
I'll go next. Brian Lack, 706 7th Street, Berthoud. Yep, that was, seems like a long time ago that we fought really hard to get that rec center. And I thought it took a lot of vision to make that happen. And what I'd like to talk to you about tonight is another item that is gonna take some determination and vision to make happen, but I think we really need to do it, and that's out at Heron Lakes. And the town, I'm not sure if you guys are aware of this, the town and GoCo and Loveland, we spent combined $1.4 million for open space out there. It has epic view corridor. There's water out there. Regional trails are out there. 10 years ago, we were supposed to, we were supposed to have a trailhead system, a parking space out there. And now I hear that they're talking about putting gates up at the entrance to Heron Lakes. And I feel like instead of that area opening up to the public, it is slowly being closed off to the public. Those are public roads out there. They are a part of our community. We've given them 25 years of free water for their golf links. We have given them a lot, and we need to open that place up to the Berthoud public. It's just some amazing view corridors, great nature reserve out there, and our regional trails are gonna be coming through there. So I'm just hoping that, I know in some ways you guys are a committee, you're in a tough spot. You can make recommendations, but I just hope that we can keep that on our radar screen and that we can make something happen that was promised to us 10 years ago. Thank you very much for showing up here on, what is it, Wednesday night, 6 o'clock, away from your families. Very, very grateful for the work you guys do. Thank you.
Hi, Rick Rupp, 534 5th Street. I've been in Berthoud for maybe 40 plus years. It's grown quite a bit. I biked quite a bit around here when I was younger. Now I'm retired. And with stuff growing like it has been, and I'm okay with that, by the way. What happens, happens. But I am going off on the trail. So I'm retired now. I went, great, I'm gonna really do this. And as Keith will attest, I'm out there, and if I see something that's not right, and I wanna thank Keith again for helping me out on some of the obstacles that are out there. But I really, when we talk about recs and trails, I mean, trails is really a big thing. And I don't know where on the pie chart financially, we're addressing these funds, but, maybe nudge a little bit more towards it. But the main thing is, as Carl and Keith will sit there and say, the first thing that I bring up is safety. And we have some significant safety issues with some of the marked trails out there. If you watch the meeting from last week, Carl can attest, one of the roundabouts, we do have a well-marked bike path that leads into almost certain problems. It just gets narrow right into a roundabout. So anyways, what I'm looking for is a liaison, or who I can talk to on the port other than the 3 minutes. If it's appropriate to send you emails, I'd love to, send pictures. Obviously that tells, quite a bit of the story. But so safety is number one with me. I think we're all gonna agree with that, hands down. So really looking for, hopefully, and I know Keith has done this with some more signage. Colorado law, I believe, is 3 feet in traffic. You get it, there might be some friendly reminders that we can do on some of these bike trails. But first of all, I think some signage would help out on some, some of the trails that we have. Updating the maps, kind of getting a very master thing. I know they change, I know stuff like this to really understand this. But what I'm really asking for is more focus on the trails. And Carl, this one would be for the board. What I'm also looking for is when infrastructure is developed, a store or something like this. The example I gave at the meeting was some kids trying to get over to Starbucks or something like this, navigating the roundabout. It was kind of scary, okay? Obviously, Carl, when a store opens up, do we have parking? Do we have this? Do we have this? I would like to see another box. Do we have pedestrian bike access? I don't want that left till last. So anyways, looking really forward. Oh, and by the way, we are gonna be starting a kind of a bike not a bike get together, but kind of a biking berthed. But I don't mean like a group ride, but just kind of like, hey, this is what I saw. Hey, by the way, have you been down south of the high school? It's awesome down there, not necessarily the bad stuff, but the good stuff too. Some of my favorite things. Hey, it's this many miles. It's great to do this. So, keep your eyes open for that. So really looking forward to some of your help on this. Thanks.
Could I get anyone's email to start a dialogue? Was anyone open to that? Or if not, I understand, but.
We can send it all to Keith.
Okay, I get it,
If
yeah.
anyone wants to share emails and like share them back with them, yeah, we can do that.
I'm a good guy, I'm not a stalker. I'm just looking out for the best of our town, and I have a lot of, I just have a lot of context about that beautiful area out there that I'd love to share with you guys. And if I could send you an email, it would make it very easy to do that.
You can share my email.
Yeah.
I'm fine.
Do that.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I'll check with y'all first and then.
Keith, you can just send it to me. Yeah. Right on. Thank you so much, you guys.
Thank you.
Rick, for yours, are you, I know you talked about trail signage, bike signage, are you talking about the roadway bike signage or just also on the, both of them?
I think it's both, okay? And once again, thanks for the extra time. What I'm looking for is in some places, there's actually a trail and then it shows some bike signage on the street.
Yeah.
There might be, what I'm trying to say is I think there's some opportunity out there to maybe lay some more street stuff.
Mhm.
To show it. I think what you guys have done is great.
Like
Except-
on Fourth Street, those.
Except for the one that leads into the roundabout out there. That one's a little dicey, okay?
So that's when you're on a bike, in the bike lane, and it just merges with traffic kind of thing, or?
Well, I got pictures I can send everyone. Basically what it does, it's well-marked bike lane, it gets narrower, down to like this close in the roundabout. You're like right next to a car.
Yeah.
And what I saw was some kids stop because they're freaked out and they navigated by jumping in the median and going over, they were just confused on what to do. And I would have stopped too. It's like, it's kind of a scary area. So maybe it's some signage, but all of the above, Keith.
That roundabout, is that the one on 56 and?
Huron, the one that would exit, that would go into like Huron Lakes into the TPC.
Oh, okay.
Grand Market.
Yeah. It is, and by the way, it's not the whole thing, it's if you're heading north, heading south, that's the issue. And I can send you in, well, Carl has it in detail.
Yeah, those pictures were driving on it goes by pretty quickly, but the pictures really show how it.
Yeah, if you can
really
share
moves
that,
down.
Carl, I mean, I think that is a very good point.
As far as that intersection, I think even driving in that intersection can be confusing at times, so I can see how being on a bike in there too, I mean, that just adds a whole nother element to it, so.
And you're a little kid on top of it.
And they've got some flashing crosswalk signs there, I think, but they're tough to see.
It's not when you're heading south though, that's the problem.
And can I ask Brian, are you talking about the trails like the Rookery Trail? Is that specifically what you're talking about, or are you talking about the connections that go through the Heron Lakes neighborhood?
The whole system out there, and part of it is, you know, when that development was put together, I don't think that nowadays a development would get approved if they said, hey, and our regional trail is gonna be a sidewalk. And if someone has parked their truck in their driveway, it's gonna block half the sidewalk. So there's just a lot of, and those are different times, and I understand it is what it is. But so the whole system out there is wonky, and I don't know that this is a regional trail. It looks like a gated community. Am I allowed in there? I don't know. And so when that connection is made, it's gonna be confusing because most of the trails that are out there, I believe most of the trails out there are sidewalks. Pretty much. And
Until you get south of the TPC and then it turns into gravel.
yeah. But so that area is going to become a hub. And I think there's a lot of potential, like, you know, on their website, there's this, it's a great picture and it looks really nice. They're in a couple in their lounge chair with the glass of wine and the grass, and they're looking at the view. And I'm like, okay, where can I do that? That looks really nice. Where's the trail that goes to that? I want that. But I don't think it's for us. And I think we need to make it for everybody. And I think the way we do that is by clearly marking where are the trails, where do they go to, where do they end, where do they connect? If I've got my family and I wanna park my car and go for a picnic at our open space out there, where can I do this? How does it work? And
Curiosity, where is the open space out there?
there you see, and so what happens,
I mean, not that.
no, I get it, because what happens is this stuff is approved 10 years ago. And we spent $1.4 million out there, and every 4 years there's a new group, and the more time that goes by, the further away it gets. And then we begin to forget that.
Sure.
So yeah, I'll leave it to Carl and Keith but that's why if I have an email, boom, I can get you up to speed so quick. And it's really a neat place, and it has so much potential for our town. And I think you guys are aware that humans are attracted to water, whether it's the ocean or a river or a lake or a reservoir. And not only are humans attracted to that, but wildlife and birds and little critters and rabbits. And that's why it's beautiful, like water is life. And it's just, there's some great things going on out there that that people don't know about, and that it's becoming forgotten. Like, I'll show you the little artist rendering picture. When I was a trustee, they showed it to us, and it was, you know, with the green and the parking lot and the trees, and I was like, yeah, I'll approve this. And now, you know, now we're looking at them putting gates up over there, and if you're a citizen on our public roads, you have to like explain yourself to somebody at a gate of why you intend to enter the place. And that's just bonkers. And then I find out at the last meeting, they built a gate at the Rookery and they didn't even have permission to build it. And so I'm just getting concerned that this lovely place, that our public roads, the image that's being created is that it's a gated community. And if you don't live here, you're not allowed in here. And that has me very concerned. And so I think I answered your question.
Thank you. Okay, any other public comment?
I'm gonna wait till you get to the survey.
Okay. All right, anybody else have any questions or anything on public comment? No? We can move on to discussion items.
Got it.
To you, Keith.
All right, we're starting with the community survey we've been putting together. I sent you all current updated version. Again, this is trying to do a update to the 2018 survey, see where the town's at amenity wise. How do they feel about our current amenities is one thing, and how do they use them, and then also are we on the right track for the future amenities as well? So Ethan is joining us today from RRC. And Ethan, do you have this version to share?
Yeah, do you want me to share my screen with it?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do
Okay.
that.
Okay, it looks like it says host. Go ahead, I think you may need to allow it. Yeah.
I think it's the share screen little carrot.
Try that. Alright, try that.
Okay.
Now, and the
All right, are you
goal-
able to see that?
Yep, we are. The goal tonight is Port would approve the survey or have maybe some feedback for the survey, and then we'd be able to take this survey to the board in May.
Yeah.
For next steps, what to do with it. So,
Yeah.
hopefully we got closer there, but I guess what do you got, are you guys okay with starting at the beginning and going through them all again?
Sure.
Yeah.
Start by adding, we did get the map that you updated, and so for number 2 here, we will go ahead and update that so it'll have like reference the map that'll be on the cover letter, and so this question will change a little bit. We'll keep in the reference to which HOA or metro district do you live in, but that'll come after having options for 1, 2, 3, or 4 that also reference the colors on the map and kind of make it easy for people to respond to. But that'll kind of match our standard surveys that we use kind of all across the country, then have a standard approach to it. So that one might look a little bit different by the end of it, but so.
Okay, yeah, and so everyone understands for question 2, when you mail it out, we know who the survey is going to, I guess, right? Randomly chosen, we know, isn't that how it works, Ethan? When it comes back to us, we
Right.
know where they live at in town, basically?
Correct. And let me switch. I'm going to share my full screen so that I can pull up the cover letter on the left side so you can see that.
The open link survey, there's a map, I shared that with the cover letter.
Correct. Yeah, so when we send out the cover letter, it is a password protected survey that essentially the respondents are randomly selected, so it is statistically valid, and that allows us to make sure that the survey is geographically dispersed and that there's no response bias coming from how people respond based on where they live within Berthoud. And that kind of helps us to control for if we're oversampling from wealthier communities versus non-well or lower income communities, things like that. So by making sure that we're selecting every nth household based on geographic location is a really important part of the statistically valid sampling method. And then having that passcode protected field just helps ensure that people are only able to access the survey through that methodology. But then later we open it up to a open link that allows any constituents to respond without influencing that sampling method still. So hopefully that makes sense and I'm not over explaining. So
Got it. And can you scroll down on that map real quick? We
Yep.
still have to, we have to proofread this cover page. and stuff.
yeah, and that's fine.
We have to fix the map up, fancy it up a little bit more. The one
Yeah.
thing we need to add to the map is we don't have the whole town. There's technically we have Serenity Ridge out there.
Okay.
So we do just need to edit the map, whether we add not shown in a not shown option or
Yeah, we typically include some sort of not included in the map, other or opt out kind of option that then if people select that, we're able to identify a little bit based off of their passcode, and then we still keep it anonymous so that their responses aren't associated with the survey. So there we have to take some extra steps with those responses to keep it separated, but we're able to kind of do that as a third party research company so that we're not passing that data back on to you. But that way we can geocode those responses based on what their survey said, but it is kind of, we would prefer people to respond based off of the map. So we do want the map to be as accurate as possible, of course. So
yeah, got it. So we'll work on that.
So is this only
Yeah.
going to people within city limits?
The mail out version, yeah,
Okay,
within town.
And how many or what percentage?
Ethan, what do you guys like to
So-
do?
yeah, we typically mail to 5,000 respondents. We're targeting a response based off of a targeted margin of error. So margin of error is based on a it's like a calculation for what we need in order to reach a 95% confident sample. And I don't have, unfortunately, I don't have the exact numbers in front of me right now, but that's typically needing a sample of 380, depending on the size of the population. But it generally ranges anywhere from, if the population is around 20,000, then you need a sample of 380, and then less than 20,000, it can go down slightly, but it's typically between 380 as your actual survey responses. So we target a sample mail out of 5,000 so that we're able to receive enough respondents around that 380 mark. So but that's part of the whole getting the statistically valid sample helps us be able to do the margin of error that gives you that 95% confidence interval, which is saying that if we did the same sampling method 90 or X number of times, that we'd be within 95% of the same result, or within the same metric, getting the same result 95% of the time, is essentially what those statistics are saying. So
can we ask, what is the color coding? Like,
I randomly made this map.
okay,
I started at the top and thought the north side probably seemed good, and then I kind of just jumped it down. And what, just really quickly, because I sent it this system last week and then went on vacation for till yesterday, so that's why we haven't a lot of time to work on it. Yeah, but if you have any,
we can help.
was
Yeah.
just trying to pick the density a little bit that I thought worked out.
We can help narrow that down to if once we're able to purchase the list. Typically, what we'll do is we'll get a list of all available addresses in the community, and we can look at the kind of diverse or the spread of those addresses, and then we could help produce kind of a segmentation based on the addresses. That would be looking at it residentially too. We also typically will look at like council districts if you have those, things like that. And we don't have to call it council districts in the survey. We can call them zones and things like that. But any sort of existing community markers, things like that, those are common ways that we'll split it up. But yeah, anything that you do have in mind. But it also is okay to have it be an arbitrary mark that divides the community, because essentially what you're trying to do is see if there is geographic differences when you compare the results later, if there's geographic differences between how people feel based on what you're looking at with needs for the different park facilities.
So the killers meant nothing, just that there's trying to make different groups, but.
Okay.
So we'll work on an updated map on that. So 1 and 2, we're all good with that. So we move on to the first section, where there's a couple pages about our current facilities, current amenities, and how they're doing. Basically, and this ties a little bit into the 2016-2018 survey, so we can kind of compare back to there to see if any changes have occurred. And of course, we're updating the amenity list that we have now. So, any comments for, I guess, 4, 5, 6, 7?
My only comment was for number 6, it doesn't list the bike park, which I don't know if that matters. I mean, it could fall under trails or people could write it in, but I just noticed it wasn't there. Feels like a good data point to have.
Yeah.
Comment?
And then, since this is getting close to final, number 6, number 2, athletic fields. And then if you look above athletic courts, maybe trying to keep what's in the parentheses consistent with like uppercasing, lowercasing, that type of stuff.
Got it.
Yeah, and we typically have as we hit that final step, we send it to our person who does final review for grammar, spelling, and editing, and punctuation. All of that stuff we do it at the final step just to make sure we're not double up on that step. But it is still very good to bring that up throughout the process. So
Okay, I'm just a stickler for grammar, so that's just my.
absolutely,
coming up, but
yeah, no, I totally
think there's
understand.
someone that's gonna do it as well, so
Yeah, just wanted to make sure you know. So,
thanks.
yep.
So, and I'll kind of do a little thing with 4 and 5. So for 4, we thought was a great set of amenities to put in there, and then 5 are basically the rest of the parks and open spaces that we have. So the whole list is there within 4 and 5. We'll get a little bit more from 4, but I think we want to know a little bit more about those areas. 6, adding bike parking, I think that's a good one to add in there. And then 7 and 8, they'll rank those. And they can write in some details there, so. Anything else with page 1? Okay, I think we can go to page 2, and Sean, I know your comment last time was keeping it short. Over and over, we are to get everything in, it is a 4-page survey. I think we get right on there.
there's an extra page on here, but that is blank, so, yeah. So I just had to check.
Cool, I appreciate that.
So number 9 is, again, ranking our amenities in another way. This is stuff that we currently have. How important it is to the household, and then is it meeting the needs of the community, basically? Yes, go ahead.
Alright, so I just had one comment on this, on the aquatic facilities. I didn't realize it was what was currently, so like just the way it is written, it confused me a little bit, so if it is what we currently have, then it would probably be aquatic facilities, parentheses, pools in Berthoud Rec Center. Because when I saw aquatic facilities / pools in Berthoud Rec Center, I was thinking, oh, maybe there's like a future aquatic facility or something that I need to consider when doing this survey, so if that's what it means, maybe putting that in parentheses. Otherwise, I thought everything looked fine.
Yeah, I thought for 9 and then for 15, it would be helpful to just make it really clear that 9 is, I mean, I know it says it on like current programs and facilities, like the gray bar under number 2. But in question 9 and in, well, question 15 does say future, but if future were like underlined or bold or
Yeah.
to make it clear that 9 means what we have now and 15 is referring to. And then also 9 doesn't have the bike park, which again, I don't know how important that is to put in there, but
I think we should have that in there.
Yeah, and I'll go to Ethan on that. It's they seem to know how many choices you should try to fit in there.
Okay. again, it's like sort of trails, sort of parks.
I
And
think that adding the bike park to this wouldn't make much of a difference on this. If you're talking about adding one, if you're looking at adding several, then it would be a concern, but adding just the bike parks to this list isn't going to make a difference in terms of survey fatigue. So. And it certainly seems fitting, especially since people have if people have rated it previously and then it's disappearing, then certainly people will notice and feel like it's missing. So yeah.
yeah, it's
My
not,
apologies.
no, it wasn't there previously because it's a new amenity.
I think I saw it
Oh, you
up
mean on this
here.
survey?
I meant previously
Sorry,
in the
I thought you
survey,
meant
yeah.
the-
So
the
I saw it in
previous survey.
4, and then we have it in,
Yeah.
we're adding it in 6, and then it's missing in 9. Then I certainly think people will notice it. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Yep.
Maybe you
Yeah.
could say like, you can see the second from the bottom, it says skate parks, maybe you could say something like bike parks or bike park. Because when
Right.
you say
Yeah, if you
Berthoud
wanted to
Bike
combine
Park,
the
that's
two.
the only really specific one I see, other than maybe calling out the rec center, but.
Okay. And is there separate skate parks from the bike park, or are they
Yes, they're
combined?
separate.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
she just means
Okay.
taking Berthoud off of the name of Bike Park, is that what you mean?
Yeah.
I see. Okay. Okay. So would it be bike park or bike parks, plural?
Singular.
Okay, okay, I just wanted to be clear, thanks. Okay, and then I'll add in the boxes and fix coloring later, so. Okay. Is that all changes for here? I also added in specifying following current amenities, how important they are to your household. I think that clarifies it a little bit better.
Okay, getting an attend, this is really the only financial question we want to ask. We're not trying to propose any new taxes or anything like that, but it's just making sure people are aware if we're gonna develop new things, they're gonna cost money, and we have towns funds we can do that with, or we can also do bonding and borrow some money to do some of these things, so. Kind of how we wanted to word it.
The sales tax funding, that can't really go to anything else, right? That's pretty earmarked to parks. I mean, so if people answer, no, we don't want money going to that, then what do we do with that information? I guess is, you're opening that can of worms.
Save it and put it somewhere else.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
If we get like a resounding disagree, then I don't know,
and that's, I mean, that's, the board would have to decide if they wanna.
continue with the
that's
sales
stuff
tax.
with it, yeah. So I mean, like the rec center was built. I believe the way it worked, there was 9 million taken from the general fund to build it, and then there was around 20 something borrowed. From sale, and that's all gonna be paid for with sales taxes. So. I don't know, in the grand scheme, it doesn't seem like a lot was actually used from the general fund to pay for it.
Funding for Richardson Park comes from where, from the sales tax, or is that something, is that kind of leading into this, that like we might need to ask the town for more money and we're kind of gauging how they feel about it?
That's one thing going on. Right now, we think phase one, as is, could be funded fully from the general fund.
Like I think on the 10-year or 12-year build out plan, that could all happen like slowly over time with sales tax, but like what Jeff is proposing was taking out a loan to build it quicker. Like, you know, I think it's, if we
Okay.
get it over time, they
Right.
can afford it. The sales tax.
Okay, 11 is the naming of the park.
I guess on 10, is there anything you want me to comment on here, or are we leaving it as is? I'm sorry.
Leave
Okay,
as
so-
is.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify.
11, I think the only thing we added on there, we, instead of calling it Richardson Park, we called it Richardson Farm, so that we didn't name the park Richardson Park. I don't know.
Well, that brings up a question. I was looking at the options and everything looked good, and then I was thinking, well, what if someone wants to name it Richardson or Richardson Farm Park or Richardson Park? That's not an option, although you can write it in, but
Write it
do
in.
you wanna make it an option?
I don't think we wanna make it an option, but I think we wanna make sure, and Ethan, with you,
I
we
think
don't have that disclaimer written down where the number of
Yeah, I was
options
gonna-
doesn't mean it's gonna be called that either.
Yeah, I was gonna say something like
I
that.
don't think we wanna, I think we've kind of chosen to move away from the Richardson name. I don't think there's historically anything going on with that property and nothing tied to it that we know of. So,
Yeah. But we wanted to put some sort of disclaimer saying, while not all inclusive or final.
you know what I'm talking about,
Yeah, something saying that
you're
that
writing it.
essentially the decision isn't gonna be based off of the response
Ethan?
to this survey. Oh, did you lose me?
I hope not. Ethan, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, Ethan. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I'm guessing they lost me too.
Sean, can we hear you?
I can hear you.
Okay, cool.
It's like a horror movie.
Yeah. Yeah, Sean, can you hear me?
Yes,
Right,
I
you
can
said
hear
you could. Okay.
Microphone.
Just ask Keith, what are you doing around over
That's
there?
the microphone.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right.
I hear something.
Yeah, I heard somebody laugh.
Can you guys hear now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, Keith. So I guess to get to your point, I think what you were talking about is we want some sort of disclaimer in here saying that you want their input, but you're not making your final decision on the name based off of this survey. Just because we've seen in the past from surveys where communities will say, oh, but the survey said that was what people wanted. This is a valid survey. This is what people want, but you don't want to make that decision, especially when you have like an other response or something like that where people can just write in. If you end up with your most popular response being something that the community came up with, but you absolutely can't do, you don't want to have that be your response. And so it's just something you have to be a little careful of. So I think we can probably look up some examples and come up with that disclaimer later and just add that in as we go. I added in this while not all inclusive or final. I think that would probably cover it for now. And then I'll just put in a note here saying add disclaimer, and then we can probably call that
Perfect.
for now. But I think that's a really important thing to remember. So yeah.
Awesome. 12. I'm good with that. The way that's, so for 12, you have 13, you can add additional reasoning for, but
I was given the impression that that was no longer the plan, the artificial turf. Is that not a thing?
whether it's gonna be artificial or natural. I think it's still designed as artificial. Has anything changed?
I don't know.
Yeah, the last time anyone just talked about it was at the board meeting, your board meeting. So,
Had a conversation and it sounded like that wasn't gonna be the case, but that might have been something else.
that's how we're gonna try to get feedback on that. Sorry, this sound is.
Yeah, the last meeting I remember it being brought up, I brought up the concerns from you guys. And explained that there was a survey coming out and that this was one of the questions. And it hasn't been discussed since then to me.
Just curious, why is like artificial turf so like wanted? I don't like.
Cause you
I don't
can, because you don't have to mow it, you don't have to water it, and it drains a lot faster than real grass, so you can play on it even sooner after a storm. It never really gets flooded if a thunderstorm rolls through. Cause you know how it pours when thunderstorms come through around here, and that might be that there's no more games that day because the field is just flooded.
Yeah.
Right, whereas with artificial, it drains better.
I mean, aren't we the like garden spot of Colorado? Like why would we put in turf if we're like the garden spot of Colorado? Like,
That would be a wonderful comment to make.
That is the
If you are representing the youth of the town, that's
I think that's a great point as to why to ask it as a survey question. It tends to be a pretty divisive topic in some of our
Are you
other
talking
surveys
again?
too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, can you not hear me?
Okay, you're back a little bit.
Okay, yeah, I just was mentioning that I think that's a great point as to why it would be a valuable survey question if you're still at the point where you can determine that. And it does tend to be a pretty divisive survey question in a lot of communities. So it will be valuable feedback, especially that open-ended response. So.
So I think we're good there. Move into 15. So this is
Should be 14, by the way, I think.
Yep.
correct.
It looks like the auto numbering got removed at some point, so. But that's part of that final checking too, so.
So for, instead of having the list of amenities and projects, this is kind of how we decided to do it. So it doesn't list certain properties or whatever. I think the feedback was whatever are the top choices, we can discuss on how those could possibly work in and where they go and where they fit on different properties and such.
For this one, I would say, again, just, I mean, it says future in the question, but I think it should be underlined or bold or something. Because some of them, like, where it says pump track, like, we already have a pump track, so even when I read it over, then I was like, wait, are they talking about stuff we had? And then I went back to the top and read the question again. So either maybe saying for the stuff we already have, like additional pump track, additional skate park, additional dog park, I don't know, or making it really clear
Yeah.
that we're talking about, like, would you want more of these? If it's something we already have, like indoor pool, well, that's, seems like weird to you, I don't know, like, we have an indoor pool and so it just, I think, needs to be really clear that we're talking about additional or in the future things.
Got it.
In future additional,
Yeah.
including future additional planning or something like that.
Okay, I think that makes sense. And Keith, we might have to
'Cause
go
even then,
through
like,
that.
if you're saying not important at all, is that,
Right.
cause we already have one, so you feel like we don't need another one, or would you, I don't know.
Yeah, because someone reading it might say that the indoor pool is very important, but they're not understanding that they're saying
not
that
important
an
now, they're not
additional
important in
and
future.
yeah. Or okay. Yeah, that makes
The ones
sense.
ranked 1 and 2 will know are kind of the low priority
Yeah.
options.
Yeah.
So looking at aquatics, does it feel like everything's in there written? For options?
I think we could add like diving blocks, like starting blocks for swimmers and stuff.
I
Like in
think
the
that
comment
would
section.
maybe come with the, if you did a lap lane, that would be part of that amenity.
Well, I wouldn't have said anything, but when I've talked to my commission about it, I think that you need one to have a swim meet. You don't, it's not necessarily like you can't have a swim meet without it, but some of them don't think that you need it at all, kind of. So I feel like it might be a good thing to add in there, cause it is kind of an investment to get those, so.
I think it's easy to add in there, diving blocks.
You could say lap lanes and diving blocks, maybe, for exercise, swim team and lap swim. Something like that.
Yeah.
Town pool have,
We can polish it up.
did Bertha Town Pool have diving blocks? They did, didn't they?
They
That
were
they could,
permanent.
they
So-
were?
Or
Yeah,
you
they
could
were
have,
permanent. You can get like movable ones or permanent ones, so I don't know if that's important, but I just can't remember.
Yeah, I don't mind making it its own option on here,
Okay.
just so it's.
yeah,
Does the rec center have them right now, like
No.
removable ones or anything?
That's why it would be good to clarify, because
yeah, you could,
some people may have assumed that was coming and then.
yeah, you could make it separate.
Also, they were movable, they weren't permanent. I just have to bring that
Oh,
up.
I thought
Because
that
then
they
I
were.
was like, well, how did we dive off the diving board? And then
Yeah,
again.
cause I didn't remember
So-
seeing them, but we don't do swim teams.
Might put it as swim team amenities as a separate item. Might be a way to do that. But
Got it. Anything
Okay.
else for aquatics?
No, I just say I agree with anything that we already have an amenity of, saying additional of this, additional of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Or in the question, you
Yeah,
can say
yeah.
like in addition to existing
Yes.
amenities.
I think that it does make sense to do it in the topics and
Just a statement up there.
to the point of. Oh, can you hear me?
Like it just might, I feel like it might skew the results if someone is confused and they list all these things that are very important to them, but they're thinking it's the things they already use.
Sean, can you hear me? Sounds like maybe they can't hear me again.
Yeah, so try to make 15 or 14.
Okay.
From that is. Try to make that first.
Hey, everybody, can you hear
more
Ethan,
clear
or
that these are
Sounds like-
future.
can't hear me either?
new,
Yeah. Okay.
Additional.
Just one thought, maybe changing the ranking from not important to very important to needed to not needed. Like, because I mean, these things are important to people, but like you were saying, to alleviate confusion, like, are more needed or are they not needed? Like, just at the top of it. I don't know if that's,
I'll refer to Ethan. Ethan, you guys ever do ones like that?
Are you able to hear me now? I think
Yeah.
you couldn't hear me for a minute. Okay.
Yeah, can you hear us?
Yes. Yeah, I think you weren't able to hear me for a minute there, but we have done not at all needed versus very much needed sometimes. I do think that in this case we could kind of think about that, but I think that with this, importance is probably better. And I would probably lean towards the additional or more in the titles, as I'm not sure who was suggesting it, but going on the same suggestion where, especially online, where you get on these long lists, people stop seeing the question as they scroll farther in the list, especially people who are taking it on mobile devices. So seeing the additional as you go through might be helpful, or we might add it as like additional aquatics facilities, additional sports and fields / courts, that kind of thing, or future some of that stuff. But I think that we've got it in this comment to make it more clear throughout, and I can kind of workshop that with Kaylin a little bit and make sure that that concern is addressed. I guess I can also add consider changing to need instead of importance, but I generally would lean towards importance, just because when you change it to the word need, people become a little more polarized. So your responses tend to be very 1 or 5 rather than the scale, and you do lose a lot when you're looking in terms of averages at that point. So you lose a little bit in your viability of the data for analysis, because people just respond when you say the word need as, oh, we don't need that, or we do need it, kind of thing, if that makes sense.
Got it. I mean, as for the group, would you guys rather see the title cleared up more, or would you guys like if it said, like number 11, additional indoor pool? Which one seems to make more sense?
I agree with what he's saying. I think people skip those questions as they go through the survey. They kind of skip over the top and start filling in the dots. And so I think putting additional next to all the amenities that we already have one of would make sense. That would be my vote.
I feel like that gets a little too wordy. If you've got some things say additional, some things say don't. I kinda like the idea to maybe put it in the question, but then put it in the the headers. I think that's like back to Carolyn's point, that's kind of what's missing a little bit in this, is you've got these headers at the beginning of each section, but then you kind of lose it as you go through each question, so if there's a way to like kind of reemphasize the headers somehow.
Yeah, so if you do future aquatics amenities kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, something like that, so that as you're going through and then you get down to recreation, it'd be future recreation amenities and facilities.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, okay, I think that would address it pretty well and give the reminder that we're talking about future things. Okay, and then I think this gives us well that.
Gremlins in the system.
Alright,
I think that addresses it well enough
On their side.
that we can discuss it, so.
there's something new, this is on YouTube now. Maybe that's something new, but I was told I was just supposed to push one button and now it's on YouTube too, so.
Do we need to ask people to like and subscribe when the meetings? Smash the button.
If you go to look for it, it's probably titled wrong, cause it automatically makes a title, I think. I need all of that color stuff, but I don't know when I watch your board meetings on YouTube and they'll say like planning commission meetings.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alright, so
Are you gonna add future to all 4 of those headers or just the 2 that you did?
Yeah, I'll finish cleaning it up after the meeting, and I'll also workshop this with Kaylin after the meeting to make sure that see if she has any other thoughts, and then we'll send you an additional draft to finalize it, so. But yeah. I guess I can quickly add it, but. Okay.
how do we feel about 13?
And then, yeah,
Callie she gave me a couple things. Item 23, fitness equipment. I think when I read that, whether we need to differentiate between outdoor area with fitness equipment or outdoor fitness course.
Can I make a comment related to that?
Yeah.
On 13 through 20, so like on 17 and 18, you have outdoor ice rink, indoor ice rink, but I could see you could have outdoor basketball courts or indoor basketball courts, you could have outdoor volleyball courts, you could have indoor volleyball courts. So should we just simplify it and just say what it is and not differentiate whether it's indoor or outdoor? And let if ice rinks are important or fitness equipment is important, then you can decide later on whether or not you want it to be indoors or outdoors. Just to get an understanding of like, is fitness equipment important in the future? Doesn't necessarily matter where it is. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, or that's
Yeah.
like with volleyball, that's very different. I would
Yes.
assume outdoor would only be sand, so like those are very different things that people might want. And then like same with the basketball courts, cause like rec, they use only the indoor, like those are also very different, so. I'm not helping you solve the problem, I'm just agreeing that.
So you also
You
have at
break
the
it out
top
there.
on the title, it says future outdoor sports fields, so, but we have indoor, outdoor ice rink.
Yeah, I mean, we could totally adjust
You wanna
that.
just say ice rink and then it's an outdoor facility in that particular setting and then we don't have to
specify.
Maybe you just do future indoor outdoor sport field courts.
Or just remove the outdoor
Ties
word.
into your recreation center a little bit.
Or just get rid of indoor outdoor, say future sport.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
there
Yeah,
we
that's
go.
what I would think. I think part of it is that this question was, I believe, added from another survey with Kaylin told me beforehand that it was a last minute addition from another survey, so it might have just been missed. So but I would also agree on the indoor outdoor ice rink. It's probably not needed to be a specification between the two for this survey. Certainly people care whether or not it's an indoor versus an outdoor ice rink who are using them, but if you were to be making a decision between the two, then you're going to want to field that those sentiments separately, and I think that there's room for that kind of feedback elsewhere. So, and you'll certainly want to be getting that, but I don't think that you're looking for that level of feedback from this survey alone. So if that makes sense. And I would kind of lean towards the same response regarding fitness equipment.
Yep, so we can get rid of one of those ice rinks. You guys kind of agree fitness equipment, and either way, we'll figure that out.
Yeah.
Amanda, do you need feedback on fitness equipment, or I think you're filling up and you got?
I think what you have is fine.
Yeah.
Just making it fitness equipment. I agree. If we need more, it'll be an additional survey that'll go out about those needs.
And then there's a comment on if amphitheater or pavilion are or outdoor performance stage. Was a different way to say those things.
I say maybe that there could be good to address the different ways to put it, but
Would you say performing arts? Is that?
Oh, yeah, performing arts.
I would say something like music venue, either outdoor music venue or site for music events. Because the problem with that is that it looks like they're gonna put on plays as opposed to music. And I think people resonate with music more than necessarily.
It could also be for performing arts too, so maybe you could say like performing arts / music stage or something. To kind of include both if there are plays or something, or dances or.
Any other comments on? Yep, go ahead.
Amenities, feature amenities, I don't know if this is if this is guaranteed to be included, but to have like a restroom or water facilities of some sort.
I think did we pull those out of the last one? Just trying to get rid of choices, but.
Yeah, cause I feel
Like
like
if that's built into this, then that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would, maybe it's bad to assume, but I would assume that those kinds of things are included in
future.
any project, yeah.
and what the semi-covered pavilion one, I'm just not sure, like, yeah, it's like, I don't know what they mean
Why
by
is it
that.
semi-covered
I
versus
don't know.
fully covered?
Yeah.
Can we just say pavilion?
Ethan, do you know what that is? I think-
I'm not totally sure. I think yeah, I'm not totally sure. I could look at what we had, because I know what server this was pulled from. I could look at what they had, but I'm assuming it's just like one of the pavilions that are not a full stage, but like have a retractable awning type of stage. But yeah. But this question was pulled from an East Coast survey, so I'm guessing that's kind of what they're looking at, is like a temporary rain shelter type pavilion.
Pavilion's on there, we just wanna take it out.
Yeah, so it might not be relevant here. So
I think we know we need pavilions. We wanna build some.
That kind of is always a comment about anything that we build is we need shade structures. And so that tends to go into the plans unless I'm,
Shade structures, bathrooms are
Yeah.
always.
yeah. I would maybe suggest changing it to shade structures. That's probably have
Oh yeah, I would just take it out. I mean,
okay.
Yeah, we can take it out. I'm good with
Okay.
that. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, like I said, I'll clean these up later, so after we accept changes and stuff, but okay. Any questions on the top 3 type questions?
The only thing I would say is can we add, to say which 3 spaces or amenities would be most important to add to the community as a whole? Because a lot of these things we already have, and so people might construe that as they're ranking what their favorite things are in the community. So if we add to add to the community, and then what's least important to add to the community.
Okay with that.
yeah, that helps clarify.
Yeah.
Can we like bold and underline add as well? Most add.
I would just bold and underline all of it. Most important to add. Okay. Like that. And then least important to add. Is that kind of what you're thinking?
Yeah.
Or what you meant? Okay. 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 I think that looks good. And that uses the space well now. Okay. All right. I think that, is there anything else with that?
Looks like we're good.
All right.
19.
So I had one comment. It says add outdoor courts, parentheses, basketball. So
Oh.
saying the pickleball courts and potentially tennis courts or, other courts.
Leyland actually brought that up to me before this call as well. So she had mentioned it to me thinking that that would be a concern as well. So she had suggested that people understand enough to just remove the courts or remove the parentheses from either of these if you want to not lead people on which one of these you're talking about, or we can add a little more detail either way. But I guess our initial suggestion would be to leave it as outdoor courts, and you could say basketball and I don't know. Yeah. if that makes sense, but
Maybe
Well,
just
I think
add-
too, you got right there, you have, do you have any comments on your responses to the previous question? So like, if I said, yeah, I want outdoor courts, I can say, yeah, I want basketball courts. You know, you can add details
yeah,
to kind of explain your answer too.
yeah.
There's also
It
EG
could
in
be,
the
oh, sorry, go ahead.
number right below. You could just add EG to the two. That way it's not specific.
Yeah. Yeah,
And then
and
it's still
also,
Comment.
might be good to say athletic courts. Of course, but just to be consistent. Yeah, athletic courts, athletic fields. But yeah, e.g. So would you want to say basketball, pickleball, volleyball kind of thing? Would that
Tennis,
be
volleyball,
tennis? Yeah, that's the hard thing
I
with
was okay
courts
with
is
not
there's,
listing them and just.
yeah, I'm okay.
yeah, there's just so many.
Yeah.
I would say just don't list them because for the next
For-
one,
10 years.
for programs and activities, it's also like,
More generic.
it says
Yeah.
non-sports programs, so does that mean like the way it's written, then it sounds like sports programs are not an option to choose? So maybe just not listing them either. Like I was thinking you either need a different category that says like recreation, sports programs,
Mhm.
or just leave that out altogether and just keep it vague of programs and activities.
I know up top I think there's a question that has programs. Rec programs, adult programs or something up higher.
It's in question 9.
Yeah, youth and
I think we kinda
adult
get some
programs.
feedback. Rec programs. Like athletic programs from that question.
Right, so on that, the one on whatever, 19, I would just leave it vague. Like not list the examples. Since
Just
it
like
is
we did
broken
that.
out earlier in the survey, that makes sense?
I'm a little more torn on when it comes to programs and activities, just because it is a little more of a abstract concept than fields and courts are, I think. But
Or if we
I
say
also
expand
do-
recreation programs and activities?
I'm not good at programs.
yeah,
And I know you are, but I think
Yeah, well,
they do more other than just rec programs there. They do senior field trips.
so are you looking to see if they want to expand all the sports programs and then all of the non-sports programs, like the teen programs, the senior programs? Is it like 2 separate lines? Where you want to know, are they interested in having more sports programs or more other programs?
I think if you're gonna ask that question, you probably should break it out to whether it's youth or adult. Programs and activities to us are like anything that's non-sports related, obviously. Like we have Crest Robotics, or they're usually contracted out, or some things we do, such as the art programs. While those are contracted through Wildfire, but I think you should just take off the IG and they can put in their own information
Yes, what
and
is,
just leave it broad.
do we say it's expand birth and recreation center program and activities?
If you called
Are
it
you looking to-
recreation, would like seniors think that includes them, if you say recreation programs and activities? Or not necessarily? Okay.
just be expand birth and parks and recreation programs and activities. That way it's any activities sponsored by Berthoud Parks and Recreation. Does that make sense? Or in your
Now
program?
when I read this, I'm thinking activities could include sports.
Right.
So I actually kind of like how it was written.
Yeah.
So, and
Okay.
that's fine, but then what I'm saying, which also could be fine, is then like athletic programming is nowhere in this.
Yes, so
Which
that's
is
what I was
okay.
saying, maybe have another,
Break them out.
Mm,
maybe have another line item, like keep that, and then you could say expand, athletic programs and activities or something.
Cause those aren't only youth, also, like
They're not.
there's a large adult athletic program.
So you could do athletic and non-athletic or something like that, or you could just
Sorry,
say
it's so
Or
hard.
sports and
Expand.
non-sports.
Is this one better?
sports programs and activity and non-sports programs and activity.
It's also on.
Do you wanna grab, there's an extra survey in a piece of paper right
Yeah.
there.
Mine won't come up on my computer.
well, sorry, if you're wanting to see what it used to look like, I can just turn back on all markup so you can see what I've removed too.
The one we're looking at is on the last page. And that's what you're looking at, or number 19.
19, thank you. I personally like the way it's written, and I think you just do another one for athletic fields, for athletic programs.
Okay, so keep that, expand programs and activities
Mhm.
as it was. And then,
Do another one that says expand athletic
What's programs and activities?
programs and activities. Or athletic sports and activity, you could just do athletic sports or
Well, it
athletics.
says, he typed in there expand sports programs and activities. Is that,
You want activities again?
or
Yeah,
just
that's
sports
what I was
programs?
saying.
Sports programs.
Or
There you go.
sports
That's good.
programming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Expand sports programs. Okay.
And then that encompasses youth and adult.
Yeah.
So,
Should it be sports programs or sports and athletic programs? Does that matter? I don't know.
I don't think that
I think it's
matters,
redundant if you say both.
Okay.
but program.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I like how you added non-sports programs and activities.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think that makes it a little more clear. I also think we might delete the word more from here because it's a little redundant.
Yeah, because we really don't have any
With
team.
expand.
programs, so.
So is non-sports programs, that's redundant on the. Says team programs.
Oh,
team
yes,
programs,
yes, you're right.
Non-sports
Yeah.
programs.
Yeah. Would it make sense to, instead of doing non-sports programs, say like adult programs in here? I don't know what sort of
Maybe you could
adult
say
programs you might
expand
have, but
Say adult.
I don't know. That may the et cetera also captures it just fine. So teen, senior is probably fine, but
Yeah, what do you have for us, just regular adults
I
that don't
know.
wanna play soccer or volleyball?
Or kickball.
Or
There's
kickball.
an adult basketball league, right?
Yeah, no, I'm
but they're
saying that,
sports
don't,
teams.
non-sports,
Oh,
for us,
non-sports.
you know.
We have
Not
wine and sip
seniors.
Mother's Day at Wildfire.
Our programming. The only other thing that I would say is under the aquatics amenity, I think one of the big drivers of doing another survey was finding out how the community felt about getting an outdoor pool and how soon they wanted an outdoor pool, so in that, I mean, could we just say outdoor aquatics amenity and how much people, cause this is gauging how important that is to people, and that's one of the things that we were looking at.
I agree, I mean, I think how it's written is just really vague and like wouldn't get us sort of a more clear.
I think the hope was the question earlier, wasn't they trying to pick out how the perfect aquatic amenity would be in that question.
Right, so when we're looking at Richardson Park, we're looking at baseball fields and a pool, and right now the pool is lowest on the list of priorities. And the question initially was, is that really what the community feels? Is an outdoor pool facility really that low on the totem pole? And so we have outdoor fields, athletic fields on this list as an important thing in what the community wants. So can we make it an outdoor pool is what we're asking the importance of? Cause
So-
expand aquatics amenities could mean getting diving boards at the rec center, it could mean buying new noodles, it could mean changing things inside the rec center, it doesn't necessarily speak specifically to getting an outdoor pool, which I thought was kind of one of the important parts of this survey, was figuring out if the town really, if that was an important priority.
So outdoor pool is number 15, it's an option. You can talk about how important having an indoor versus an outdoor pool is.
I mean, I guess it,
And like, we don't know where this, if there is a pool, where it will be, because we just heard tonight too, maybe it could be indoors, right? Like maybe, so we don't, it's more just to know, are aquatic amenities important? You can say if you want an indoor or outdoor one right here, right?
and I guess if you're like if I was reading this and outdoor pool was my top thing, I would just put it next to expand aquatics amenities. Like, yeah, even though.
I guess when I hear the term expand, I think of expanding on what we already have, and so an outdoor pool, I guess, would be not what I was thinking there, but
Or you could say
New aquatic amenities?
add,
Just put new aquatic amenities.
Sure. Yeah, I think that would be better.
Another way you could do it is say add or expand aquatics amenities. But well, if you want to just specify it in new, that's also fine. But I don't know. Yeah.
well, if you're expanding, you would expand at Wagner. If you're adding, you would add at Richardson. So
Okay.
I like that idea where you could,
Which really, when 99% of people do this survey, they have no idea.
Yeah.
About either of those
So-
things. So to most
Yeah.
people, it's just a generic answer
Mhm.
and not like, well, I want to, most
Yeah.
people don't even know that that's an option at Wagner,
Right.
so.
Yeah. Yeah, and what you'll end up looking at is how many people put $100 on this line is what you'll really look at too. So it'll be I don't know. Yeah.
Ethan, I know you said 7:30, you might have to get off here.
I think we're pretty close to the end, so we can just I think is there any more on this question?
No, I don't have anything else.
Yeah. The rest is pretty typical or generic, I shouldn't say typical, but our usual what we use and recommend for demographics. So a lot of this comes from the US Census. So a lot of it is what we will compare to the census to evaluate the survey sample. So I don't know if there's any major concerns about it. I suppose I shouldn't skip over the information because this should be a little more specific to your town. So if there's any concerns about what we have here, I think this came from the 2020 survey or the 2022 survey. So, but
I think as a town, we're happy with it.
Are we gonna
Okay.
get in trouble by listing Twitter instead of X?
we
My
might,
only
yeah.
comment was under household, I realize it's a pretty standard thing, but if multi-generational could be an option,
I think that,
Really give the option of people who have like older parents living with them.
absolutely, yeah, that is something we are putting on more and more surveys now.
And then Kelly had a point. Ethan, do you guys ever do this, that you make a disclaimer that this portion's optional?
We typically try not to. We have on some surveys, but people who don't want to answer it will choose not to answer it. And the entire survey is optional. The problem is when you specify that it's optional, people tend to answer it less. Which we do want people to answer it as much as we can get people to answer it. Especially because an important part about this is we want to be, so we do a lot in sampling to try and get you the sample that is representative of your whole community. But if it is not representative perfectly, then we will do as much as we can to weight the sample to match your census so that we're not underrepresenting respondents from members of your community who are underrepresented already. So it is really important that people do answer this. So we want to try to reduce the bias that gets driven by putting in things like saying that these answers are optional. So that's my only recommendation why I would say not to specifically list that it's optional. However, I would never put in here saying like that the questions are required. So if people skipped these questions, their answers will still get counted, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Put that in there. Any other comments?
So go ahead.
When does public comment come?
You can allow whenever, Lauren.
You go ahead.
Go ahead.
I just have one small thing. When it says, thank you for taking the time to share your opinions, your input will be of value in helping us update our master plan. Is it updating the master plan or is it updating the port plan or
Good question.
Does anyone really know?
like what plan are we trying to update? I just
How
wanted to
about
make
helping
sure
us-
that it
how
wasn't
about-
just copied over from the last.
Sorry, how about your input will be of value in helping us focus our master plan or something like that? Or inform our master plan? Is that okay with you guys?
Yeah, do you wanna say port master plan?
Huh? Yeah, I just wanna know if it's like the master plan or the port master plan.
Could we just say like, help us guide planning for
Future
Berthoud, the town
planning
of
for the
Berthoud?
town, yeah.
Instead of like skip master plan altogether, cause we're not,
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, some of them may not have seen the master plan and know what you're referring to.
any other comments from anyone up here? We can open it for public comment.
Cool. So thanks for putting in the music into the stage, that's awesome, thank you. I just wanted to ask, would you consider underlining current and future in every place where you put it? Because the word household is underlined. It really does mess me up, like I don't know if I'm answering current, it really does mess me up, and you put the words in, but they're not underlined, so if you would consider that everywhere you use them. And then the name of the park in number 11, Mountain Vista Park, I said this to the trustees, I've talked to at least a dozen people about the name Mountain Vista Park, and 100% of the time, the people talk back to me using the words Mountain View Park. It happens every single time. It's phenomenal. They just say Mountain View because Mountain View is so easy. Mountain Vista, I think, is more syllables. So if you would be willing to add Mountain View as one of the options, even if it's right underneath Mountain Vista or whatever, I think it would be a valid option if you'd be willing to do that. And then, final thing is, I wanted to offer to, I'll give you my name and address and offer each of you a tour of Newell Farm Park. So that you can get an idea of what would be possible there, because it's actually pretty cool when you really look at it, so. I'll give you that and then you can decide.
Are we planning a tour? Do we usually?
It'll
do it
only
in
be
the summer?
15 minutes and, you know, I've done this before, like with the town.
Yeah.
You get out of the van, you look around at the trees and you go, but there's a whole different viewpoint if I take you to the east of the property and you look over the whole property. And then you can see where a performing arts center or senior center library could be built. Because it's one thing to stand on the farmstead and look at the trees and the buildings and the amphitheater that's already there. It's a whole other thing to look over the whole thing and think about a festival site or what the original vision was, a festival site with a performing arts center. Doesn't mean we're gonna do that, but maybe it's a library. Maybe it's a combination of the three, you know, like in Greeley, but you can't see it when you're standing under the trees.
Yeah.
That makes, and that tour won't include that. So what I'd love to do is take you, you know, instead of spending the 15 minutes that you'll get, which is, this is yet another park and here's what it looks like. I would love to give you an hour and just show you really what it feels like,
Okay, yeah.
you know.
I've done Sarah's tour.
Yeah.
It's worth it if you guys get a chance to go out there, cause I think what I've envisioned out there and what I know now are very different. I had only seen it in an aerial picture, just looking at everything they've shown us on here, and so being out there and actually walking the property was interesting, and it definitely gave it new perspective.
Helps you see what they want to preserve, and, you know, you think about like a visitor center. You know, if you're gonna have a visitor center, wouldn't it be nice to have it in an old farm? And they're gonna preserve the farmhouse, so wouldn't it be neat to have a museum with it? And then you think about the historical society and how they can be hooked in, and they need more space. And then you think about access, because that's one of the things that you all said. What about the access? 'Cause we weren't informed when you talked about Newell Farm in November. The town isn't obligated to inform us, and so they didn't. And so we weren't here to talk about the access, but there's all kinds of, you know, options where you can put access into it relative to the houses that'll be built behind it. And there were all kinds of visions, and some of them might be appropriate in the future and some of them might not. But wouldn't it be neat for you to just stand there, look over the whole thing and think through it, you know, just so that you'd have your own opinion. Thank you.
Ethan, you got everything you need?
I think so. Thank you for going through it with me, and happy to work on the project with you. So
Thank you.
Thank you, Ethan. We'll touch base tomorrow.
okay, great. Have a good night.
So it shouldn't change, there'll be little edits and stuff within the survey, we'll clean it up. And then I believe we're gonna take it to the board early first week. First meeting in May, would be my guess.
2 weeks.
And what's the timeline for getting it sent out, did you say? I'm sorry.
I don't know the timeline on how it gets sent. I'd assume if they approve and we'd ask or see what the timeline is. Technically, we've only had the contract for making the survey right now. We still have to refresh the contract for the sending the survey out type stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. Any questions? Cool. Alright, next discussion item?
Oh, actually, for the BYAC survey, we came up with some questions. So we just wanted to run it by you guys first. If we could do that. Or if that's set for a different time. Can I do that now or?
No, I don't care, I'm kidding.
I mean, yeah, if you, how many, is it a lot?
12?
Okay,
But
just, run through them and.
so the first one would be like features and then like rank what you like the best for them. And then is this a place you would just want to bring swim meets or just relaxing area or both? What are your favorite town amenities to spend time at? What do you do at those locations? What kind of food would you like at a concession stand? Should it provide full meals there? Overall, describe how you'd want a new outdoor pool and bertha to look. Please include physical descriptions or water features and design features you'd like to see. Do you want benches along certain sides of the pool or maybe lawn chairs? Is the aesthetic of the pool important to you? What design or aesthetic would you want? Would it be important to have a seasonal pool or use a cover in the winter months to be able to use it in the winter? What current amenities can be upgraded or repaired? What features of Richardson Farm Park would you like to have at the park? Wait, what? Hold on. No, that makes sense, okay. And is it important to be able to hold competitive swim meets? So those are what we all came up with. I think we had more, but there were some that were so similar, I just combined them. But yeah, so any questions about those?
I don't know what the process is with your all's survey personally, so. Is the goal you're gonna give these out to your high school?
Yeah, so we're gonna try to do that. I don't know if it's gonna be successful, but if not, we can just hand them out to our friends, I guess. I'm not completely sure what our entire plan for it is, but we wanted to start somewhere before like giving up on it, I guess, if it didn't work.
Yeah, you could do it as a Google survey and send it out electronically too, instead of doing paper. I think you guys are much more technology savvy. That might be a good way to get responses.
Yeah, can I make a suggestion, since you made the Richardson Farm Park question a specific different question, I think, if I heard correctly. It might be beneficial to add something like what the other survey was, obviously not as detailed, but like question number 9, where basically what are the 3 most important amenities that you see in the town, right? And add ball fields, pool, skate park, courts, that kind of thing. Maybe just come up with a list, and it doesn't have to be as exhaustive as this, so that we know from your survey as well, what is the youth's opinion about, do we even want an outdoor pool? Is it more important than ball fields, right? If that makes sense. And just maybe expand on that question a little bit to add a little bit more information just in that one question.
And then would you guys care if we like took some of the questions out of this, put it in our own survey?
I think that would, I mean, it would be nice if it kind of, they mirrored each other, because then, I mean, you don't need to do all of the questions, but if you had some similar questions in yours that are in this, then that would give us some good way to compare the data.
Thank you.
Okay. Next agenda item?
Another survey.
Yay.
So I just wanted to bring this back and share. The full results are available, posted online through Larimer County. I think our Facebook, they've tagged it as well. The Our Lands, Our Future updated survey. So I'm gonna skip through a lot of this. Quick reminder, it was mailed out they mailed out like 7,000, they got about 1,000 responses back. 3% of that's from Berthoud, so it's like 30 people. You know, it's not a big, but this is comparable to the consensus of the county. It is interesting though that some of our stuff does represent our town in a way. Some of the answers, because you can move some of the responses. You're able to move the data around. So I'm gonna go through just a handful of the figures on there because that's the easiest thing to read. So the majority is for Fort Collins. Again, Berthoud's 3% of the responses. These are all the mailed surveys that were returned. The open results are very similar to the mailed surveys as well, though. So how long have you lived in Larimer County? I think they made note Berthoud's a growing newer town, and that kind of shows right there. Let me know if you want me to go back or anything, but I'm gonna point out just kind of matches, and that's just how long have you been in the county, I guess. So people seem to be moving to Berthoud in the last 5 years, which makes sense. Where have you visited open space and trails in the last 12 months? Most places visit open spaces in their area. So Berthoud people tend to visit Berthoud open spaces. And I believe when it was on the survey, it wasn't just including like Carter Lake, it was what any town considered, even like Berthoud open space and Berthoud Reservoir would have been included on that list and such. So, but you can see other areas do visit Berthoud as well. I don't think on the list they had bike park, and I'd be interested to know how many other people from other towns are coming for the bike park. So with our survey, we should get something similar to this, whether we do it in quadrants, the 4 quadrants where we write it out like this. So what are the main activities that and their satisfaction ratings for those? So most of the important thing, most of the satisfaction is higher than the rated importance, which is a good thing when you're looking at surveys. And even trails, I mean, that's very good to see that it's up there. We know it's trails is the highest thing rated on almost every survey. So
that's so interesting that it came back that way as far as the trails go. Just because I feel like not in Berthoud, but Fort Collins and Loveland, like the trail systems don't seem to be sufficient. So I'm very surprised that it came back that way. Just population wise, like.
right. And you'll see the issues that they'll bring up is crowding and parking and stuff like that are still the common issues. So just 2 activities are households most frequent. So it's trails, walking, running. Dogs is still, it's very popular. Dogs, getting dogs off their leash is very popular, letting them be free. You'll keep seeing e-biking was added throughout the surveys. Just because there's a real emphasis on getting as much feedback on e-biking as possible. So I think even over here, the importance wasn't there still for e-biking. And that's what, I don't know how all the communities are regulating them. I believe Larimer County, you're not, there's certain, I think there's restrictions, like you're not supposed to have certain ones in certain areas. So which 3 activities would you most like to see more land or facilities provided? Trails and dogs. winter activities is sneaks in there as well. I think I got my first phone call this year for cross-country skiing for Berthoud, and we needed to figure out how to expand that.
It's funny, we had no snow this winter.
I know, where are you gonna-
Last winter,
Maybe a bit harder,
for
but-
sure, but.
I thought canoeing, kayak swimming, I thought that was gonna be a little higher than what's shown on here.
Was there a breakout category for stand-up paddleboard?
Right there. That just screwed everything up.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, right here. And I believe in the previous surveys, it was more popular. So just some added in responses for this part, would you like to see more of? So more accessibility. Definitely something to take note of. These are just them trying to combine a bunch of open responses together. Okay. So what are the biggest problems? They're crowded. Dog waste is like, I think dog waste is the biggest issue we have. If you were to base it on phone calls and emails and people talking to you in the parks and stuff like that. So figuring that out. Dogs off leash, I think, is high up there as well. And Berthoud is a very dog off leash friendly place. Not all places are supposed to be off leash, but a lot of complaints for dogs off leash, especially like Hillsdale.
Yeah.
Common off leash area.
The bike park, I've been seeing it a lot too.
Mm.
Somebody
seen the
took our
same. I don't-
dog the
can
other
y'all-
day that was out on the like biking paths while people were out riding bikes.
Can you all hear me?
Yeah.
Now we can.
Oh, you can. Okay, cool. Yeah, same thing. I've been riding the bike park a bit since it's reopened here, and I have been seeing that a bit. And it's funny. I've had a couple dogs kind of jump in front, and you know, and then get a strange look from the owner. And for what it's worth.
Is the owner on a bike or are they walking?
No,
They're
walkers with dog off leash, you know, maybe 20 yards out in front kind of thing. And, you know, you try to stay wide of the dog, but then the dog kind of freaks out when you're riding by and then the owner's mad. And I mean, it's not a big complaint for me, but it's just funny you mentioned that because that just happened 2 days ago.
Dog on leash signs.
I just noticed that we have very not well-behaved dogs, so they're on leashes, but the other dogs run up all the time. We've kind of stopped taking them on walks back there because my dogs are not good.
So long-term planning issues. So I'm gonna talk with our planning department. I don't know, Carl, when projects come to you and new developments, you got the wildfire and drought are probably two common things that we've been hearing. Lately, it's been people don't like native grass areas. So how do you, there's supposed to be more drought tolerant areas.
Keith, did they mention if that's for aesthetic reasons or?
It's mainly for fire reasons.
Gotcha. So the Marshall Fire really has scared people. Yeah, understood.
Has there been talks on how to?
For open spaces, no, but I know that there's a new, we've been working with a new design company for development. And they are changing everything to be fire retardant as much as possible, so like juniper bushes are basically kerosene lanterns. And so, you know, that kind of species specific drought I'm exhausted. Drought tolerant, but fire retardant species, actually they exist, and so those are things that are going into the new developmentals. But as far as open space, I don't know. I mean, what do you do besides put native species and it's all grass?
Mhm.
And you know, at the Arboretum, they're putting some bushes in that one area down south by 56 and more wildflower flowers, but those also light up. So I don't know anything in the
Yeah.
works. I can ask that question though.
No, that's probably. I mean, we've had, and these are, it's not a lot, but I mean, we've had people call about the open pit or the reservoir. You know, I mean, it's dry out there.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I'm sorry to interrupt.
yeah, no, but, so we've had that, Wagner Farm Park. There's a lot of native areas out there now. And most of the time, those are people that are, I guess it's newer to them. It wasn't like that before apparently, and now once you put them next to it, it's, all they see is fire risk.
I mean, it is Colorado, it's the plains. So it's just, I think that's more of a mitigation problem by trying to counteract drought as much as we can and use non-pot to water so that we're not having these water issues, so that we can control it in that way, but I'm not an
You're
ecologist,
right,
so.
though, it's all about mitigation too. I mean, you can have native species, but if you've got that space, you know, that physical space, it's not gonna
Mhm.
go anywhere, you know? So it's probably, maybe there's an educational opportunity somewhere in there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we know we
For
typically.
the town, like communications gal to
Yeah.
just kind of talk about that a little more so people feel comfortable with what's being planted in the town.
Let's see. Throw this one in, the e-bike thing. I mean, it definitely seems like the regular class 1, I call them regular, but where the pedal assist ones seem more acceptable than the ones that have a throttle on them. I think e-bikes are a good thing for accessibility, get people on bikes and such, so. But there's definitely, class 3 goes faster than 20 miles per hour? Promises. Definitely some limits that need to be done.
Yeah, and that was a huge, I don't mean to derail the conversation, but that was a huge conversation up in Fort Collins before I left as well. And there was, once again, it came down to an education issue, because if you know what you're doing and you're on a regular bike and it's a road bike, you can go way faster than 20 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And so it's a rider behavior issue, it's not a speed issue, it's are you being proper in your behavior on the trail. But people think, oh, it's got a throttle on it, you can go faster. You're like, no, you can't, because it's got a limiter, so you can't go. I think on class 1 and 2, that's the thing that makes them quote unquote safer, is because they have a limiter on them that stops their speed. The motor shuts off, whereas the class 3 it doesn't. But once again, I'm riding on the road in my car sometimes and I feel like bikes are passing me in traffic because they're going 30 miles an hour. And it's a miscommunication.
That's a good point. Is anyone noticing e-bike issues in town yet?
I have not myself.
And the new batteries are super small and you can't even tell sometimes that it is, especially if it's one of the class 1s and they're just pedaling. You can't, it just looks like a thick frame. It doesn't doesn't even look like a battery.
So if you don't use open space and trails, why? Lack of time, crowding, not enough parking, where these. Those are kind of the main ones. If you have $100 to spend on open space and trails, ag land, nature-based amenities, Amber County, how would you allocate those funds? So water quality is important. I know that in a general theme that they got out of it was it seemed there was a balance for conserving land for both recreation and open space, non-recreational open space, so not developing everything. Some of it's for recreation, some of it doesn't need to be, so.
I think that's the frustration is for how much land the county owns. Like they just, for the first time, I don't know, in 20 years or something, added a very small section of trail at Horsetooth. And that was like monumental to get that done. And it is so incredibly overcrowded there. And that trail work took literally decades to make happen. And the open, the county owns just tons and tons of open space, and getting just a single, and it's even just like a trail connector, so you don't have to go straight up Towers Road now. There's like a little switchback section.
Yeah.
And
I mean, yeah, that's when have they built it yet or they're about to start it?
they built it.
Okay.
Yeah, that was last summer.
So from the above questions, which items do you consider to be the single most important priority? I think it's interesting, Berthoud, out of 30 responses, you still had very high working farms and ranches as an important priority, so that was still a good representation of us for 30 people. Maintaining what we have. Yeah, so that's all the, I guess, parts of this survey. If you guys want to dive deeper, it's out there. I don't know if I haven't looked on their website if they actually put the dashboard out where you can click around and you can try to separate Berthoud responses away. They don't always separate Berthoud for some reason. I don't know. I think a lot of times 30 was the cutoff. So if all 30 didn't answer that, then they didn't. You just got all put into a bucket with small Larimer County towns. Cool. All right, so that's all I had for that. Go into my updates.
Staff updates.
Pickleball is open. Courts are pretty much finished. So, I mean, they're coated. I mean, as soon as we were out there doing the walk to confirm yesterday, I think we had 2 people show up. Just be like, are they open yet? Like, I don't know how many calls we came in. So, I don't know if it was have we posted that they're open or yeah.
Yes.
I think they look pretty good, so. We do need to figure out a port tour. Is there a month preference? We've done it a lot of times in June.
It's pretty muddy last year. I lost a pair of shoes to that
Oh,
tour.
I remember that.
I won't come in my work clothes. How about that?
I mean, June is fine.
So June 5th is our next meeting.
Mm-hmm.
We want to shoot for that day. We usually do it a little bit earlier, right?
We've done that before where we do the tour, start at like 4:30, and then we start the meeting at 6 or 6:30. And the meeting that day is usually not very long, I guess. It's to talk about the tour.
Works for me.
I probably can't do any earlier than 4:30.
Start at 4:30 and try to set a meeting time for 6 or 6:15.
We typically don't add any agenda items really, right? We just kind of,
We haven't, I don't know if anything will pop up that we should look at.
Yeah,
I was gonna probably do a tour recap, and I'm trying to get trails worked in here again. We'll talk about our trails mapping and updating our trails plan a little bit, so.
we won't need to do anything else with the survey. Once it now it'll go to the board and then they'll approve it going out. Is that the next step? Okay, and we don't need to do anything else with it.
We shouldn't, no.
Yeah, that sounds good.
So meeting at 6:15 for 6.
Well,
I'm good with
for the
6:15.
tour at 4:30
Yeah,
and then
and then
meeting at 6.
Mhm.
6?
I'm good with that. 6:15?
Sure.
Let's give us a little extra time.
I mean, we do have a new property to add to our tour,
Yeah,
so.
are you there that day?
I'm actually on vacation that week. My husband will be there, but why don't I just give you guys your tours, your individual tours, and maybe we just take it off, because you have a lot to do in an hour.
Are we okay to drive on to?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, you know, we can inform my husband.
I will,
Yeah, absolutely.
So June 5th, Wednesday, 4:30 tour start time. We'll leave from here. Parking lot, I'll probably get the Bats bus. I'll try to. Come back here, start the meeting at 6:15. I'll put together a list. Is there any places anyone's really interested in going out to see?
Could we check out whatever at Heron Lakes?
That's what I was thinking. Whatever
I-
was going on over there.
Is he talking about the Rookery property back there? Is that the 1.4 million
I'm almost
open
positive.
space? Okay, cause even after I asked, I didn't necessarily know what he meant.
Wait, on the peninsula?
Yeah,
I thought he was talking about the separate open space that's actually in the Heron Lakes development.
I don't know about that one.
I don't,
I have to clarify that one, cause I don't know exactly know what he's talking about. The gate though, on the Rookery Peninsula, there is a gate that is automatically closed that opens when you drive up to it.
you're talking about the housing side though. I'm talking about the trail that we went out and walked on last year, where it goes out to where the heron nesting area is. South of TPC, south of that the
Yeah.
extra golf parking lot thing.
I was confused as well, cause I thought he was talking about open space in the development.
I think that's what he was talking about, cause
That's
he's talking
open to the
about it being
public.
a gated community.
Mhm.
Guess
But
I
I'm
didn't
not
know there
aware, I
was
mean, yeah.
open space,
I'll
like,
check on that.
other
Okay.
than the
Okay.
golf.
Cause even Lone
course.
Tree is all private now, right? That whole Lone Tree area, so everything over there.
It's open to the public for a fee.
Right, I guess I shouldn't, it's a fee-based.
Right.
It's not open to the public at
Right.
large, it's open to the public after they offer it to.
Which I was also concerned with, but whatever, that's not for this meeting. But yeah, it is open, but any open space should be open to the public because it's parks and open space. So if it is something that's actually in the development, that's just open space. That's no different than Pioneer Park.
Right. I can't think of, I mean, I've that golf course 100 times. I can't think of anything back there that's
Yeah.
open space of any.
No, other than our, when he, cause he mentioned GoCo and stuff like that, we get reports from them every year of our properties, so.
So I'm wondering if it is that, where you go out to the nesting area.
Well, you're gonna find out.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Keith's
I'm
gonna
gonna get
find
an
out.
email. No, I'm not getting an email,
Oh, that's
remember?
right.
You guys
On
wanna
the
go out there again? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I guess my question would be, what's the progress on that? Cause last year when we toured it, it was like, yeah, we're trying to figure out exactly what this is gonna look like, how to close off the nesting area in the summer. And that hasn't been,
Yeah, maybe we don't need to
think-
see it again, but an update on, cause I was wondering that too when he was, cause I remember the nesting thing was an
Yeah.
issue and like, what are the updates on that?
I think one of the holdups is getting, first there's gonna be that trail connection built to it. Whenever CDOT lets us do that, I guess. We're still waiting on that, so that, because the trail will go up and around the overpass and down to that roadway.
Yeah.
With the gate.
So that is like that, you're talking about the cantilever kind of thing on the bridge?
We're not doing cantilever, maybe just some delineation across the bridge.
Okay, but that's what you're talking
Yeah.
about, on the bridge,
Yeah.
okay.
So going across the bridge, going down around to it. So that trail, we're hoping to start this year.
Okay.
But getting out into the peninsula and stuff, that's working with the developer, because I think the developer has to build a temporary parking zone or parking lot there. For us to build a trail out there is gonna be pretty easy.
so the developer is responsible for putting a trailhead at that, where we went in that gate. Is that,
I believe so, a temporary, until they fully develop and put a permanent one there. But I think in the meantime, we're allowed to do a temporary one. So I mean, we're chipping away still, right now, we're waiting on Colorado Parks and Wildlife to give us the exact report of what we can do with those birds, so I should have that any day now.
cause it's like a 300-foot buffer in the mating, or in the nesting season? Okay.
So we should have that. They're pretty quick at getting those back, so. And then once we get this survey back and stuff, and it shows we should support doing more trails and things like that, we'll keep going on it.
I mean, I guess when he said that, that is nowhere on this survey, like, most people probably have no idea if the town has any land out there
Mm-hmm.
at all. So like, we wouldn't really know that that specifically is anyone's priority unless they write it in, or
I-
just assume people want more trails, so
Yeah.
anywhere's good, or.
Trails, and then just working through, the port priority list is out there, is up there. I believe the priority list is connecting from Vantage up to Hammond, and then then the Rookery Trail, trying to figure out the 287 crossing, trying to make that a little safer. I think those are the top three on the priority
By
list.
287 crossing, you mean that bridge?
No,
Or
trying to
like-
trying to figure out a safer way, possibly an underground,
Berthoud Parkway.
under,
And 287?
going under Berthoud Parkway, I don't, yeah. I think those are the top three. So. Where else, do we wanna go to Skowsies again, around in there?
I would say we prioritize anywhere where there've been some updates or changes.
And it might be good, we met with the consultants out there, so they could walk the property.
Or, yeah, anything you know that's gonna be coming up that you wanna talk with
Yeah.
Port about in the next year.
Okay.
Like whatever those properties are,
Yeah.
just prioritize those and see how long it takes to get around and,
Yeah,
you know, put something together.
okay.
We probably can't see everything, but just whatever you think is important for us to see.
Gotcha.
Did you wanna see Newell Farm that day?
Yep.
Okay, I'll let Butch know.
Do that. I don't know, fun little update that, so Richardson there's a couple birds nests out there on the Richardson site. Only one is inhabited, that's an owl's nest that is, it's on the far now. No, great horned owl. And they have a couple little outlets, fledglings or something. So the windstorm a week ago or something blew one of them out, one of the babies out. But it's kind of lucky is that I guess the guy we have farming the field called it in, and the Raptor Rescue Program came out and like collected it. So hopefully they're trying to put it back in either tomorrow or tonight or tomorrow. But it's kind of neat how it works because they'll like take it back out to the field and it should start making noises with its beak, and that will call the mom and they'll start talking to each other. And then they just have to take it to a tree. It doesn't even have to be on the same branch because it can kind of like move from branch to branch. It can't like fully fly. But then they'll take it out there and it'll climb back up to the nest.
Huh.
And they said right now is like the season, so they have like 10 baby owls at their place. And he's like, yesterday he's like, I think we're gonna bring another one up that's old enough. And he'll join the nest too, but then today he's like, we probably won't. I thought that's neat how they do that.
Be confusing as a mother, like
I have more
you lost
kids.
one and
Yeah.
two came back.
Yeah, so I'll give you an update if the owlet gets back in the nest. But yeah,
Thanks for sharing.
they don't have as many restrictions around them. Like that nest itself, you gotta stay like 100 yards away from it. During this season, they kind of have their babies earlier than the raptors do, and hearing stuff, so they have them. We were told in February there's an active owl in there, so I think they kick him out in like May or April. Yes. Kind of neat.
So there's just that one nest up on the north side of the lake?
There's a second nest, but they said there's nothing in it.
Whatever is right behind my house, there's gotta be one living back there, cause we hear it almost every night.
Is that like in the cottonwood tree right there, or is that in the
So it's-
off into the?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I can sit in my backyard and hear it every night, like at 1 in the morning,
Oh, now?
Mhm.
Okay,
for like the last 2 months.
nice.
So I don't know, I thought there was something back there, but I don't know, it might be the ones from up further north.
So they're very, I guess they're not as easy to spook or anything. They are decent around human activity. They really take care of their young, I guess, really well to get them to the stage that they're gonna fly off. Yeah. I think that's it.
Amanda, do you have staff updates?
We are getting ready for summer, so we are hiring for specifically lifeguards, swim instructors. So if you know anybody, we do offer those certifications, those classes, so they can get certified through us. You don't necessarily have to have that before you apply, so and then we do reimburse after they've been with us for I think it's 3 months. So we reimburse them that cost, so typically they really don't pay anything out of pocket. And then they need to be 15.
Oh, really?
How old do you have to be a slide attendant, and do you guys need any?
Yes, we always need slide attendants. You can be 14, so we just have to be very careful about child labor laws. So they have very strict restrictions. Can't work past 7, blah blah blah. So we make sure to follow those. And then our summer hours will begin May 28th. So the pool will expand its hours. Is typically what happens when our summer hours begin. And we're getting ready for June 8th, which is first day of the Berthoud Market. It's also the bike park opening and our family camp out. So it's gonna be a very busy June 8th day. So if you're interested in any of those, let us know. It'll also be on our website and on social media coming up here in the next day or so. So
Committee updates?
Mhm.
Audrey?
Ready to
Oh, yeah, that's right, carry on. Yeah, I have a couple things. One, I don't know, Keith, so Brian Lack posted on Facebook about a trail connection, which he said he got word from a friend, which I think was the other gentleman here, because it was about the roundabout and a section of trail then when you're heading into the golf course. I was just wondering, did they send you that?
I haven't seen it personally.
I can just show
I heard
you-
them talk
I'll
about it
just
at the
show
board
you.
meeting and.
I forwarded that email to you to send to everybody,
Okay.
just now.
Oh, okay,
Okay.
okay, so you got, I just wanted to make sure someone at the town saw what he was talking about. Cause it shows where the developer, like, I guess in the original plans, like, where the developer was supposed to put in either, I guess, a sidewalk or a trail from the roundabout heading west, like to the golf course, and it's not there.
Yeah, were you there during that conversation last week or week before?
Me? Yes.
Yeah, so the developer got up and spoke about that, and he said that they know, so to paraphrase, they know they're going to do it once that section of development starts to happen, which is in the future.
And so we've changed that, right? Cause previous, and I would think this development falls under that, cause it was planned a long time ago, like the sidewalks and trails didn't have to happen until the development was complete, and now town code is the opposite?
It's if I'm correct, it's not that they have to go in, it used to be that they could put them in basically whenever they wanted to, it basically. But now it's whatever plat is
Oh,
approved,
okay.
that's when they have to install any infrastructure for that plat specifically. So it's still, unless I'm incorrect, it still wouldn't have been in if they had been on the present system because they haven't built that plat yet.
Gotcha, okay, that makes sense.
We're talking about the north side of Grand Market.
The northwest side of the roundabout.
Okay. And then it's funny Jeff brought it up tonight because I've been working with this school district on the new bond that they're potentially gonna put on the ballot. And I just happened to mention, I was meeting with Todd Piccone, who's the chief operations officer, and I said, just so you know, there is still conversation in Berthoud that the school district should help pay for a pool. And that is just not going to happen. So the bond that was put on the ballot in 2016 by the school district did not pass. And it had a pool for Berthoud in that bond. And they did significant surveying after it didn't pass to find out why. And one large thing they got back was that a pool is, I can't think of the word right now, but fluff or like extra, and it was a significant cost, and people felt like that was part of why they didn't vote for it, was because they didn't think that was truly a necessity for a school to have a pool. So that's why it was not on the 2018 bond. And I assume part of why they weren't willing to partner with the town, because they felt like the voters didn't think that was a reasonable expense. And for this upcoming bond, we need schools in Berthoud, so that's the number one priority, and will be a significant expense to voters, so a pool is nowhere in that priority at all. Like that is, we need to replace roofs and put in security vestibules, and like there's just a lot of things that are way higher on the priority list for the school district. So I just don't think that's anywhere, I can't speak for them, but I did specifically mention that to Todd, and that is not on their list anytime soon. And then I also talked to him about the high school parking situation that came up at our last meeting. And they are changing the like bus, where the buses go for next year and parking flow, they are changing all of that. But I mentioned to him the street parking, and he said from meeting with, I don't know if he meets with you or with Chris Kirk, but that the town was gonna move the bike lane to one side, but I think that already happened, right? Like when you did the bike lane striping like a year ago or whatever?
Yeah, it is just a bike lane on the south side supposed to be?
Right, so we were actually at the high school, like walking out of the high school, that's what reminded me about it, and I mentioned it to him, and so he and I were both kind of looking at it, and there are no signs on the south side of the street that say no parking.
They're,
But they have arrows pointing one way
Well,
or
but
the
it's
other.
just at the
They're
crosswalk,
spots, yeah.
it's just the yellowed so to our commerce, then I thought, well, if we don't want people to park on that side, then you need to either paint the curb or put signs up that say no parking.
and we're gonna do all that after this school gets out this month.
Okay.
So we're gonna paint that south curb, put signs up that say no parking and make sure, try to keep that area free from parking, I guess.
Yeah, okay, and
We don't start painting until like June usually, so.
gotcha, okay. And the school district feels like there is plenty of parking at Berthoud High, so they won't be increasing the parking lot anytime soon, but they are adjusting where the buses drop off and where parents drop off to try and make that better, but
Gotcha.
Were you wanted to ask?
Oh, I was wondering when you were talking about a pool, do you mean like a pool for the high school?
well,
Like a-
yes, but when they built the rec center, the town wanted the school district to partner with them, and that's what Jeff was referring to. They wanted the school district to pay, I think, $5 million to build a bigger pool, like to partner with the town, and the school district declined. They didn't wanna do that. And my point is, I don't think they will want to do that in the future either. It's just not financially feasible.
Thank you.
For me, I had a community member reach out to me to ask about the bike park gate and what the situation is with said bike park gate. You probably know who I'm speaking about, but he said he's tried to contact people and apparently was told that the gate is broken and nobody knows how to fix it. Yes, was the comment that he told me.
No, I
Okay.
mean, well, it's had a couple electric issues, but those were cleared up. And then someone decided to drive their truck through it, last weekend, so. It's broken again now, so.
So was that why the bike park was open before the bike park was open? Was that last weekend? Like a day or two before the
Yeah.
gates were open and, okay.
Yeah, I think they have the person, they know who it is. We have cameras out there, so. Yeah.
I'm not doing anything illegal.
No,
So somebody drove through
yeah, I don't know why, they just decided to push the gate open.
with a car, okay.
So it's gonna be broken for a little bit probably.
Okay, and I guess that's the answer is if it's broken, it's just open when it's open, and then when the bike park is closed, like for wet trails and whatever, you guys come out and like padlock it, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to know what to tell him, cause
Yeah, I tried, I mean, I called and left him a message, and we were playing phone tag a little bit. but
Okay.
I think I called him last, so I was waiting on it.
I'll email him and let him.
But then I was told he talked to some staff out there, so I was like, maybe he's got it figured out. I do wanna, so the gate, right now, we're trying to do, so it does close at night. And it should, but we're gonna try to keep it that way, but I mean, if it doesn't close, we don't like send someone in on call to go close it or anything like
Right.
that. It's ideally it closes and works fine, but there's handful of cameras out there and
And I
lighting
don't think it's been any issue, like I haven't seen people like parked out there at night or anything like that, so I don't, there's lights on that parking lot, so it's not a very inconspicuous place to go park.
Mhm.
I think it's been fine, but he was wanting to know what the plan was with that.
And we're gonna put up some more signs that says under surveillance and things like that, so people sure that.
All right, that's all I have.
Mine were brought up by citizen participation, so
Okay.
I guess is there anything that you guys want me to specifically bring to the board in 2 weeks? Besides commenting on the survey?
Nothing to add.
Was that a yeah?
Oh, sorry, nothing to add.
Oh, nothing to add, he said,
Okay.
okay. Alright.
John, do you have any updates or is that nothing that, was that what you're saying?
Yeah, I guess, nothing to add on that front either. Thank you, though.
Carl, can you make sure that we pick a new BYAC town liaison?
Yeah, sorry, I believe trustee Sorcelli volunteered, and we're gonna assign at the next meeting.
Okay.
Who is the liaison, but I believe it was trustee Sorcelli.
Albrecht.
Albrecht.
Alright, anything else?
Oh, did I say Sorcelli? Oh my goodness gracious. I'm exhausted over here, I don't know. I can't think of anything.
Alright, do we need a motion to adjourn? I know I always ask that.
Yes, we do.
Can I get a
Move
motion
to
to adjourn? Second?
I'll second.
Alright, meeting adjourned?
Thank y'all.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
Oops, sorry.